Pay me, pay me, pay me my silver now. Pay me or go to jail. Pay me my silver now.
Bix Weir, roadtoruta.com. It is Wednesday, August 8th. Everything on the road to Roota is coming true right now. It is insane what's happening. Of course, you won't see it on the silver price. But I'll get to that in a second. A quick shout out to my friends over in Maui. We go to Maui with friends every year. Lahaina has literally been destroyed by fire, crazy fires going on in Maui right now. And watching those pictures, brutal. I mean, so many great memories gone. I don't know about fatalities yet, but just crazy. Like there's this one street, Front Street in Lahaina on Maui. It's great old history there and great restaurants and shops and this banyan tree that's 1,000,000 years old, gone. Massive fires. Just a hat tip to all our friends out there. Hang in there. I don't know what to say. All right, moving on. Now, something happened today on the road to Roota that you would not even frickin' believe. You couldn't make this up if you tried. Yes, it looks like the BRICS nations and the rest of the world is going on a gold standard in 2 weeks. Joe Biden just locked up 1,000,000 acres surrounding the Grand Canyon from mining. You can't make this up. 2 weeks before the rest of the world goes on a gold standard. Why did he lock him up? Same reason Woodrow Wilson locked it up. When these announcements are made, the announcement that, oh shit, the unbacked fiat monetary system has died or is dying, the rest of the world is going to go on to a gold standard. The United States has the most gold in the world, so of course we'll go on it. We'll dominate. But the government doesn't want people running into the Grand Canyon and picking up all the gold. So they locked up another 1,000,000 acres. I'll get to that in a second. But what happened yesterday, that if you guys watched my video yesterday about the TAS, traded settlement, and how they use that to manipulate the price of silver by selling. They do the sale. So a TAS is a trade at settlement. So you can literally buy, say, a October contract and sell it in the same day to get the price there. So you're locked into price. And that seems fine because it's instantaneous. There's a buy and a sell, but there's a quirk in the law or in the rule from the SEC that the bankers did, and the CFTC has been told about it, but they don't do anything about it. And that quirk is you can sell the buy side, meaning you're selling silver today, and you'll deal with the other side sometime between now and the futures month. So if you do it on a October futures for silver, you can wait 2 months for the time when you have to buy that contract back, or the other side of that contract. This has nothing to do with physical silver. As Ted Putler pointed out to me, this has nothing to do with physical silver because it doesn't go on open interest. There's no limitation on the amount that they can do, and they did it again 2 days in a row. Yesterday they did 8,716 contracts in a single day, dumping 43.5 million fake ounces of silver to suppress the price. Today or that was for Friday. Yesterday's numbers were even higher, believe it or not. 2 days in a row. Yesterday's numbers were 9,444 or 47 million ounces. Now imagine this: if you know the silver market is going to shut down because of a force majeure, because the system's imploding, whatever you think, and you can sell silver now on the COMEX and not have to buy it back ever. Like I said, I've been screaming, futures contracts are literally an open-ended, you can lose unlimited amounts of money. Like with a long contract, you're fine. You can lose all of your money. On a short contract, you can lose well over all of your money unless you do a TAS. So they're selling it. They're selling the silver now for the TAS, for this trade settlement, and they're going to buy it back at that fixed price back in the future. It is insane what is allowed to happen. So right now we're at In the last 6 days, they've done this on 127 million ounces of silver. The silver market is being ripped to shreds under the curtain. We see it moving just a little bit, being held down like usual. Nobody cares that silver went from 25 to 22.60. It just doesn't matter because what's going on in the background is so much more important on the road to Roota on so many different fronts. Now, right now, and I've been saying this for a while, yes, buy your silver. If you can still get silver eagles under $30, buy them as many as you can. And I'm talking to you like Andy Schechtman's big buyer who tried to get 50 million ounces or had $50 million to buy silver and can only get a million ounces, about 25 or 30 million dollars worth. Go buy as much silver as you can get your hands on. This is your last chance to buy silver under $30, in my opinion. And Will Lair at Perpetual Assets, they're selling silver eagles under $30. So go check them out. PerpetualAssets.com. I think it's $1,000 minimum. All right. And then Andy Schechtman, I believe, is also, you'd have to talk with him. Anyway, here's what's going on. Yes, today is Wednesday. So the reporting week ended yesterday. It's going to be, I know what it's going to show already come Fridays when they release the COT report, the Commitment of Traders report. It's going to show what they always show. It'll be the commercials covering their shorts and the tech traders going short. So that's massive rocket fuel. And there is no limitation on those losses, by the way. With those tech traders, these are actual COMEX contracts shorting the future. They are going to be destroyed to infinity and beyond as Buzz Lightyear. So I don't know. It looks like it's early. Usually the midday, it'll all of a sudden shift if they're not trying to go another week. If this goes on for another week, 2 or 3 days, 2 days, I'd say if it goes on till like Thursday and they're still pushing the price down, they're probably going to go for another week until next Tuesday when the cutoff is. So we will see. Anyway, any way you slice it, behind the scenes, silver's going crazy. Here are the numbers. Also, an exchange for physical of 20 million ounces. 20 million ounces gone from the COMEX over to the LBMA to hide deliveries. 20 million ounces in a single day. That's insane. And there's the TAS, traded settlement. That equates to 47 million ounces. This is the end game for silver, my friends, in case you're wondering. Now, I don't know how long this is going to take. With this TAS thing, why not short 1 trillion ounces of silver? 50 trillion ounces. There is no limitation on what they can do. Like I said, they can click a mouse and set the price to minus $50, minus $40. Like they did it with oil. Click a mouse, minus $40 oil. They could do the same thing with silver because this price means nothing. You can't go to your local grocery store or silver shop and buy minus $40 silver. It is just a reflection of what this is. Futures and options rigging by a handful of banks and criminal operators, run by a company called Virtu Financial. Vinny Viola is the head of that company. And yes, they are an authorized participant in SLV. You have a high-frequency trading market maker who has nothing to do with physical anything as an authorized participant of SLV. And I'll get to SLV in a second because even bigger news came out of SLV. So that's where we are. Again, it is crazy. It is insane. And here's Harvey Organ's description of the TAS. Total TAS issued on Monday night was 8,716 contracts, despite many complaints that the crooks have violated position limits due to the fact that the TAS issued have a value of 0 as to position limits for our crooked bankers. The problem, of course, is that the crooks do not liquidate the TAS together, but sell the buy side first and then liquidate the sell side 2 months hence. It is obvious manipulation to the highest degree, but it naturally fell on deaf ears with our regulators when they received our complaints. So what's to stop them? If they know the COMEX is not going to be even up and operating in 2 months, which I don't think it is, by the way. And I have long said the only way silver can trade freely is if the COMEX shuts down. We won't know the prices. Clearly, these criminal bankers are operating as if it doesn't matter how many shorts you put on. the COMEX isn't even going to be around, so why not just short into the quadrillions? Quadrillions of ounces of silver. It just doesn't matter. And that's exactly what they're doing. The regulators are doing nothing about this. They know about it. We scream about it. Tell your regulator right now, what the fuck? In the last 5-6 days, that's 127 million ounces of TAS. It's unheard of. Unheard of. And they did not close out the TAS. They only did the sell part of it. They didn't do the buy part of it. A little loophole that is allowing the market riggers to... Oh, by the way, one of the market riggers quit yesterday, and I'll get to that in a second. Anyway, that's what's going on for the road to Roota people. Here's the biggest news that you could even possibly... Now, again, in 2 weeks, the BRICS nations are meeting. Big talk about going on to some kind of gold system. Even talking about it, it used to be, hey, don't you dare, we'll bomb you. Listen to what just happened yesterday.
The country has a new national monument, and it's called the Ancestral Footprints of the Grand Canyon. The land around the canyon is now protected. President Biden was there for Tuesday's announcement, and our Bo Erickson followed the president's visit and spoke with tribal leaders about what this means for them.
Here at Red Butte Mountain and almost...
Who's been screaming about the Grand Canyon? 2 weeks before they go on a gold standard, Biden locks up a million acres around the Grand Canyon. But listen to more about what he says.
1 million acres of land surrounding the Grand Canyon is the newest national monument. President Biden made this announcement today here in northern Arizona, and it's actually the 5th national monument that he's established while in office.
You might check where those other 4 national monuments are. 10 to 1, there's things in the ground we're going to need. That's what the United States does and has been doing since 1913. If we find anything in the ground that has value, oil, gold, silver, copper, uranium, we lock it up in a national park and we use the fiat money system until we need the real stuff.
There are 2 main goals of this new national monument. The first is to stop any new leases for mining here in this area. And the second is to protect the ancestral sacred lands of many Native American tribes in this area.
Okay. So that's true. Absolutely. The United States of America stole this gold-rich land. The Native Americans didn't value gold like we did, and billions of ounces in the banks of the Colorado River. There are things I don't talk about. I've talked about a little bit within the Grand Canyon, but I can't get into a debate about that because it brings in too many conspiracy theories. But I can debate the billions and billions of ounces in the banks of the Colorado River, all around the Grand Canyon. That's where this new national park is. So here's the Grand Canyon National Park, and here's the new areas right here on the north, down here on the south, and over here on the west. They are literally, these have already, the Grand Canyon, the Kaib National Forest, those have already been locked up. All this. So many of this stuff, these things have already been locked up. And then there's the Navajo Nation. It's all part of the same thing. Why do you think the United States government gave the Native Americans that whole ability to open a casino wherever they call native land? It's payback for all the gold that is sitting in the Grand Canyon. And there's many treaties about this. It's interesting because like the Navajo Nation, this gigantic part of the area around the Grand Canyon, right over here, right up into here it is, Navajo Nation, the Colorado and the Little Colorado. That's the sacred spot. Right in there is Kincaid's Cave. Right in there is where the airplane crashed. The 2 jetliners crashed over the spot, and they had to shut down the Grand Canyon back in the 1950s and bring in these heavy lift helicopters. It was all a lie. They were pulling gold out of the Grand Canyon to pay off China for the gold they borrowed back in the 1930s. Is it a conspiracy theory? Absolutely. Is there fact to back up the conspiracy theory? Absolutely. Enron was a conspiracy theory. I remember analyzing Enron back in the day. I'm like, this is a fucking fraud. It is absolute fraud. And everybody said, oh, Bix, you're just a conspiracy theorist. You know what a conspiracy is? Two or more people acting together to do something illegal. And yet the mainstream media has inbred into your brain to shut off when you hear the word conspiracy theory. Conspiracy theory. Zzz. That's just a conspiracy theory. Zzz. Your brain shuts off. It's insane, especially the liberals. Oh my God. I live in California. As soon as they hear conspiracy theory, they're like, that's a conspiracy theory. Anyway, back to Biden. I just had to show some of this. So Biden, after he gave the speech and said, protect the land and all that, and it's tribal elders, blah, blah, blah. He went for a walk on the edge of the Grand Canyon, and they had literally had to protect him from walking over the edge. Here's a little bit of it. Watch where all the his guards and his and the park rangers position themselves. There's Biden behind everything. And they're like, go this way, Joe, go this way. They're all like trying to stop him from falling off the cliff. I love it. There's more. This Biden yells out from the other side, don't jump. Press go, no promises.
Don't jump. No promises.
Stop it. Don't tease the old man. Stop it. Oh my, that's the liberal press right there. And oh my God. Freakiness from Joe.
By the way, I'll never forget, I was standing in Washington, a little girl walked up to me, I could see her daddy say, go up and say something to the president. She walked up and she said, Mr. President, would you take care of Bear's ears for me? And I didn't know what she meant when she said it. You take care of Bear's ears. Well, we took care of her and we gave her the signing.
So that nobody still knows. I didn't know what she meant. Is that some kind of like a secret code to your pedo friends? I don't know. Let me go there. Biden declared the Grand Canyon one of the 9 world wonders. There's 7 wonders of the world, as far as I remember from like 2nd grade. Listen to this.
The Grand Canyon, one of the Earth's 9 wonders of the world.
Okay. All right, Joe. We'll see. I don't know. Maybe he's talking about a different kind of natural wonders. Where's the other thing? He's walking off stage and he salutes the audience. What do you think? What do you think all our enemies think about the liberals? Insane. Okay, but there's more. Now, 3 days ago, 3 days ago, I posted this. Timing is everything on the road to Roota. If you've been following me since 2017, when I first discovered the Road to Roota information at the Fed Boston, you'll know I haven't changed my story at all. If anything, I've added to it. At the beginning, I thought it was just some crazy comic book coming from the Fed, like everybody thinks, it doesn't mean anything, Bix. I was more intrigued by it's a comic book talking about big people stepping on little people coming from the Fed. But then over the years, the more research I did, and then I found Roota writing 9/11 in the sand and all this stuff on the road to the golden age, which is an economic formula. You want to get off the gold standard. You print as much money as you possibly can. If you want to go back onto a gold standard, as much money as you possibly can, soaking up all the benefits of fiat money. Imagine the amount of benefits the United States has had building our infrastructure, our housing, our roads, our bridges, our military. We're the largest spender in the world by far. Why? Because we know that unbacked fiat money is completely worthless when the world finds out what we've done. We hide everything in the ground. It's so obvious. And the Road to Roota comic books talk about exactly that. That's what Roota is talking about. When Roota finds the golden flowers in the canyon of the it's not. They don't call it the Grand Canyon. They call it now I forget. They call it Cobblestone Canyon. And you can see why they call it. You see the layers within the Grand Canyon. They kind of look like cobblestone sometimes. But there's Roota walking out with the golden light shining. This is all literally right, exactly how it came out in 1981 when we were about to go back onto a gold standard, and then it was redone in 2007 on January 1st. September 11th, 2008 is the 2008 crash. That was the day we were literally hours away from destroying the old system and going back onto a gold standard. That was stopped on that day by massive money printing. Remember, the first bailout in 2008 was voted down. Stock market dropped 50%, and then they said, "Oh my God, what are we doing?" And then they started to create billions, and now it's trillions of dollars. Keep the con going. But remember, Roota going back. Look what Roota says: "Goodbye, colorful flowers. I will see you again some other day." We locked up the Grand Canyon after we found all that gold. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, listen to my discussion about it 3 days ago. It's called "Alert: Grand Canyon Gold, Billions of Ounces Ready to Save America." This is my discussion. It was a debate with Steve Santangelo, actually, and the link to the entire debate is right below. But this was my rebut. Steve really didn't know what he was talking about when it came to the Golden Grand Canyon, but he was my biggest critic. So I said, okay, I have long said I'll debate anybody about the road to Roota information. He's the first guy who took the bait because he had nothing to say about it. Literally nothing. It was a debate. I mean, no, I don't like to speak bad about anybody, but if you get to talk shit about me and the road to Roota Theory and all the research I've done for the last 16 years, you better be able to back it up. And Jim Willie was the same way. "No, there's no gold in Grand Canyon." And I offered to debate him. He wouldn't debate me. Of course he wouldn't. But Steve Santangelo kept talking about it. I said, I've had enough. Debate me. You guys can listen to the debate. He has nothing. Literally nothing. And then I lay out my evidence. And the evidence is clear, especially when it came down to the Congress people involved in shutting down the Grand Canyon. And involved in the bankers set the price of gold back in 1900 and put us on a gold standard. But they set it too low. So all that gold in the Grand Canyon wasn't profitable to mine. So what did they do? They locked it up into national parks. They're still doing it today. Joe Biden, for example, right there, right here. This is the area right in here. This is what was locked up back in 1913, right at the Woodrow Wilson created the Grand Canyon National Park. All this, all the way up through. I mean, it is so obvious to me what is going on because I've been knee deep in it for so long. But the rest of the world is now waking up, and very soon they'll just have a bang. Now, what's that? A lot of people ask me, what's going to do to the price of gold when we find out there's not 200,000 tons that Jeffrey Christian said has ever been mined in the world? And another guy who I'll talk about once, Jeff Curry of Goldman Sachs, by the way, he's the guy who left. He left Goldman yesterday. I'll get to that in a second. But I remember during the silver squeeze back in 2001, it was Jeff Curry and Jeffrey Christian who the bankers threw out there and said, "Save us, save us, save us. We're about to be destroyed by the Wall Street silver action." It wasn't necessarily Wall Street silver. For example, there was a hedge fund called Private Investor Group that bought up 33% of SLV. Yep. Of the 600 million ounces, 300 million. Sorry, what was it? 300 million? No, at the time there was 300 million ounces. I get it. No, 190. Okay, 600 million ounces. They bought up 197 million shares of SLV, and they had to report it. How come the price of silver didn't go up over $30 when you had a single entity? And how did a single entity get to do that? It's a quirk in the SEC rule. That was the good guys taking out the bad guys. And then they decide, no, okay, we're going to wait. So what are they waiting for? Now is when they're waiting. Now is the time. Again, you don't know what I'm talking about. Go to roadtoroota.com. You'll have to literally sit there for 1,000 hours to fully grasp. Listen to all my videos, read all the articles I've written since 2007 about the Road to Roota Theory, about the people involved, who is Roota, what is Roota doing, why did the Fed create Roota, why did the Fed talk about this? Here's number 9. So the teacher's guide, which I'll show you, it's right here, Road to Roota Teacher's Guide. This is from the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston. It's all about, talking about this comic book. Why do they say right here, question number 9, there's 65 questions, and most are unanswered. Number 9, the mayor of Pebbleton announces that since the colored flowers are so rare and valuable, they're going to be used as money with petals for change. Everybody who's been telling me, "Oh, Bix, that thing's got nothing to do with the gold standard. It's you're just dreaming this shit up." They say it right here in the teacher's guide. Jesus Christ. Is it a good idea? What qualities does a good form of money have? Why? Which of these qualities do flowers have and which do they lack? What would happen if Pebbleton's economy, the USA, if someone then discovered a new sunlit cavern with thousands of flowers, the flowers are the gold money, going into it? Should someone control the growth of flowers? Who? Like the United States government locking up the Grand Canyon? Just so many questions. And here's the classic. On page 7 of this, everybody says I'm reading too much into it. You know, you're making up a metaphor to fit this comic book that was just a little kid's thing. Actually, nobody says it who's spent 2 minutes reading it. Zero Hedge wrote this big, long article about how I was full of shit. They didn't cite me. They said, no, it's just a Keynesian bullshit thing. I was very embarrassed for Zero Hedge, truthfully. And they'll find out soon enough. And those who think I'm overstretching the metaphor, they wrote about it right. Has this analysis of the social and economic implications of wishes and rainbows overstretched the metaphor? For anyone who may think so, we call attention to the market for tulips in the 17th century, blah, blah, blah. They talk about gold as money. It is classic. And don't forget the last page of the Road to Roota documents is right here. And this always stood out to me. This is now. This bottom, the very last thing Roota says. Don't be surprised if some summer day when you're lying on the green grass and looking up at the blue sky, you hear voices coming from underground. It could be Rocky and Roota searching for another entrance to color land. That's where we are. One day, this summer, we are going to wake up to the truth about what goes on behind our monetary. And it's going to blow the socks off people. I do like that in this world that Roota creates, giving out the colored flowers and allocating them according to Social Security, meaning giving out the gold, allocating it according to Social Security balances. Everybody gets some to get started. It's a beautiful world. Why? Because there's no debt. It means all the debt has been destroyed, which means most of your assets in your 401k and your savings account checking, all of that gone. FDIC's already screwed that up. The FDIC quarterly report comes out right after, I think it's right after the announcement by Bix. Quarterly report will show that the banks are insolvent. Come this Friday, I expect a couple more. I put out something yesterday or last night, I think, about the downgrades that have happened. 8 of them were on my watch list of banks. There's, on the private road, there's a watch list of banks. So yeah, those should be failing within the next 2-3 weeks. They'll do it on a Friday night. The FDIC already said, "Oh my God, hopefully it happens Friday night." They can make it happen Friday night because they take him down. I mean, you look at the last bank, the Heartland Tri-State Bank. That failure, they said, was an isolated event, but for the last 4 years, last 3 years at least, they were in a restructuring from the FDIC. They talked about it 2 years ago. And they couldn't do it. And how deep did they get? Over 30%, close to 40% of all their assets had to be, that they supposedly had to be paid for by the FDIC. $54 million is what they said it's going to cost them. And that means this transfer of the customers to another bank is actually the FDIC paying out depositors that were not covered by FDIC uninsured deposit. They can't tell you that because they want, when the system implodes, they want just the FDIC amounts to stick. I don't think they'll be able to do it, which basically says because they have bailed out all the uninsured depositors of Silicon Valley Bank, Signature Bank, all the way down the line, they're going to have to do it for every bank in the world. Greenspan said something a long time ago that he was in an interview, and they were saying, well, when's the dollar going to die? He's like, the dollar can never die. It's impossible for the dollar to die because we create the dollar out of thin air. Now, I can't vouch for the purchasing power of unbacked fiat money. That's what's going to change the purchasing power of unbacked fiat money. That's when silver goes to 600, 800, 2,000, 20,000. I don't look at the price of silver. I look at the gold-silver ratio. It's more important. 80 to 1 right now. And I'm telling you right now, when Joe Biden signed this thing on the cliffs of the Grand Canyon, he is hiding billions more ounces of gold. There's so much gold on the planet. All you have to do is read Sterling and Peggy Seagrave's book, Gold Warriors. That's around 300,000 tons of gold or more. They never get to an actual specific number. And that's extra gold. That's gold nobody talks about. So the whole idea of that we've been told of 200,000 tons of gold is a bullshit lie, which makes me think that gold-silver ratio is closer to 1 to 1. Than if you have any gold, you should have traded it for silver a long time ago. I think it's over 80 to 1 right now. Andy Scheckman, Miles Franklin, they'll do a silver-gold swap if you want. I highly recommend it. Highly. Here we go. Here's the news of yesterday. Longtime Goldman executive Jeff Curry joins exodus of bankers from the firm in the last few months. Another Goldman Sachs executive is headed for the door of 200 West Street in what has become an exodus of senior management from the investment giant over the past few months. Jeff Curry, who served as global head of commodities research, he's the Jeffrey Christian of the bankster. On the bankster side. Now, Jeffrey Christian used to work for Goldman, so they obviously are hand in toe in their lies that they tell the world. Jeff Christian and Jeff Curry were both brought out during the 2001 run on silver, the Wall Street silver thing. Now they're being pulled out. Jeffrey Christian, just a couple days ago, I did a video on it, put a video out saying, force majeure is no big deal for the bankers. It was Newmont Mining had to do a force majeure in the largest silver mine in the world. You can't make this stuff up, and the silver price doesn't go anywhere, obviously, because it's fraud. So the fact that Jeff Curry is leaving at this moment in time, I've always said bankers don't leave when things are going well. Bankers only leave when things are about to blow up. And we've had a run out of Goldman Sachs. Jeff Curry is a huge player in the manipulation of silver. As a matter of fact, and here's the classic from 2001 during when silver almost hit $30. Oh my God. Jeff Curry gives up the ghost. He tells the world that SLV is shorting silver. Completely illegal in the prospectus of SLV. They cannot. SLV is the silver ETF. Every share you buy, they're supposed to deposit an ounce of silver. And Jeff Curry says it is SLV that's shorting, or it could. He probably meant the authorized participants. That is the big silver short. That is two problems. One for BlackRock, who owns SLV, that's completely illegal. J.P. Morgan, who is in charge of the warehouse silver, is completely illegal. To mess with the fiduciary responsibility of J.P. Morgan holding that silver standalone from any other claim. Don't use that silver in any other transaction. And SLV in general, it's completely illegal to short silver. Now, the authorized participants is how they think they're getting away with it. But the authorized participants, including Virtu Financial, by the way, that high-frequency trading company, those would be naked shorts because they don't own. Once an authorized participant deposits the silver into the silver ETF, they have no claim on that silver. They can buy, I think it's 50,000 shares to redeem and pull the basket out. 50,000 ounces. They can buy it back. But they have to pay for it at fair market value. They have to go out and buy the shares. So the people who are in SLV, you don't own that silver. Come on. Why are you in SLV? It's laziness. Go get yourself some real physical silver. Anyway, here's where he gives up the ghost. Listen to this. This is 2001, right during I think it was February, right after silver almost hit $30,000, and Rustin Benham, the head of the CFTC, came in. He said, we had to tamp down the market. Here's Jeff Curry freaking out about this. This is the guy who just left Goldman.
And I do think that GLD was moving the price of gold. I can imagine a similar situation with silver and the silver ETF if people get excited enough about it, where what happens in the markets ends up influencing what happens with the actual metal in real life. You're saying you don't think that that's a possibility?
So GLD supposedly was, which is the gold ETF. They said the price went up because everybody's buying GLD. The bankers control both. Anyway, listen to what he says. What he is explaining here is completely illegal under SEC rules. The culprit would be what he said specifically. It would be BlackRock, the owner of SLV. He's saying it's shorting. I think it's more he was talking about the authorized participants, but they don't own that silver anymore, so they can't short in any kind of, because they have no claim to that silver unless they go in and buy SLV shares to redeem them.
I mean, you're talking 900 million ounces in the ETF versus a 25 billion ounce market.
By the way, 900 million ounces in the ETF back in 2001, that's gone down to, I think they're under 6. So 300 million ounces have disappeared in the last 2 years. That is part of everything we're talking about, the demand for physical silver. Get out of SLV. If you're an SLV, you're lazy. I'm telling you. But listen to what he said. He said there's 25 million ounces or 25 billion ounces. That's bullshit. In history, there's been maybe 60 billion ounces that have been mined. And then where is it? It's in your flat screen TV. It's in your solar panel. It's already in Silver Eagle coinage, sitting at millions of people's houses all around the country and around the world. It's been used and processed. What he's talking about is the SLV can only use, and they had to change this a little bit, COMEX approved bars, 1,000-ounce bars. Now they changed it from different manufacturers. They added a bunch of manufacturers. But yeah, there's not 25 billion ounces of silver in the market at all. It's more like 3 billion, maybe. And at $25, what is that? That's $75 billion is the global market for available silver to buy. I mean, Warren Buffett could buy that in a blink of an eye. One human being could buy every ounce of silver because the price doesn't change because they rig the price lower. Anyway.
But those billion ounces don't move.
But the silver market
they just sit.
Go on.
They just sit. Those other ounces just sit. They don't move.
Right, but you look at the flows going in and out of these ETFs, they're not that big. But I guess my question is, forget the ETF. In terms of thinking about how are you going to create a squeeze, the shorts are the ETFs. The ETFs buy the physical, they turn around and they sell on the COMEX to be able to hedge that physical position like any other corporate.
There it is. There it is. That is illegal. And everybody was like, what did he just say? And is that true? No, because when an authorized participant deposits its silver into the SLV, the trust owns it, and the shareholder should have control of that silver according to the prospectus.
It's not a naked short like in an equity.
It is a naked short, 100%. Whoever's doing that shorting doesn't own the silver. That's a naked short, Jeffrey Christian. Anyway, he's gone. Interesting. Why now? Why now? Anyway, everything on the road to Roota I've been talking about for 16 years now, since I discovered the Road to Roota documents. And everything I've been fighting for 24 years now with GATA, and it's all coming true. And the Road to Roota Theory is, I haven't changed, I've only added to it, and is more, it will be the closest thing to what really happened in gold over the past 100 years. And I'm glad you guys are with me. Go to roadtoroota.com, sign up for the free updates. Free updates right there. Join the private road. We'll send you the Roota Lives coin. Coolest coin ever made. When the next run happens in the next couple weeks, we're just going to stop giving these out. I think silver will be way too valuable. I think this will cover the cost of a 1-year subscription easy. It's $2.99 for a year, less than $1 a day. and you support the Road to Roota family. So take a look at that. Other little things. China buys 23 tons of gold in the ninth straight month. It's so ridiculous. China does not have, what do they say, 2,000 tons or something like that of gold. No, they don't have that. They have like 50, 60, 70,000 tons, maybe 100,000 tons, maybe more, maybe a million tons. Jim Sinclair had documented and knew that they were pulling out 2,000 tons a month for decades. Everything you hear in gold from Jeffrey Christian and Jeff Curry is a lie. That's why I wouldn't be surprised if Jeffrey Christian announced his retirement very soon. Even though he's got his little cash cow of, the bankers pay him, CPM Group, they pay him to run that the fake news. That's fake news. So keep an eye on it. Jeff Curry gone. The Tweedledee and Tweedledum. Tweedledee's gone. Tweedledum will be next. Jeff Christian. Interesting. Wells Fargo. All the regulators are slamming on the banks right now at the worst time possible. Wells Fargo gets hit with another 149 million fines for off-channel communication. They're literally clamping down on the banks at the worst time you can possibly be for banks because they're already fragile. They want to blow the system and rip it apart sky high. JP Morgan will probably be the ultimate blame if the good guys are going to win this battle. You got to blame the heart of the conspiracy, Jamie Dimon, JP Morgan, and the deep state pedophiles, and all that's got to go. It's all going to go at the same time. Really interesting. Kenya kicks eye-scanning WorldCoin to the curb, refuses to become a data harvesting guinea pigs. If you see any of these little eyeballs, I am not advocating violence except against these eyeballs. Figure out what you want to do. Anybody can smash one of these things, if you ask me. I'm not advocating breaking the law. If they put one of those things in front of my eyeballs and it scans me, I'm going to have batting practice. I'm just saying that's what's going to happen most likely because people aren't stupid anymore, hopefully. I have seen some lefty liberals say, this is great. I got some WorldCoin. I got to get a Bix coin going, but, Gary Gensler would have a field day on me. And by the way, the next giveaway, as long as it stays under $30, will be Veritasium. And it might happen sooner than you know. So make sure if you want your silver Roota coin, make sure you get it today. Go to roadtoroota.com. Click on subscribe today, and we will send it to your front door. This is Bix. I'll talk to you later.